audience participation time. If you have ever had a child remind you to put on your seatbelt, raise your hand. Keep it up. If you've ever had a child remind you to wear a helmet, whether bicycle or motorcycle, raise your hand. Other hand. And if you've ever had a child remind you, what was I going to have you remind them? Oh, not to smoke. And if you've got both hands up, raise your foot. So this is, you can put them down now. This is what we like to call trickle up education. You've heard trickle down economics. Well, this is trickle up education. And when we started this project, we are the education arm of the USDA project. And the idea was that we will take the results of research from the social behavioral people to figure out what messages, what mediums, what audiences, but they needed some time to get their research and their results. So we focused on 6th to 12th graders to get out the message with the idea that we're going to get them inculcated with biosecurity practices, and then hopefully that would trickle up and make for more biosecure communities. Let's see if I can do this. So this is our team. Susan Kerr and Jeannie Rankin were our content experts on it, as well as Julie Smith when time allowed. We were dispersed across the country with Susan in Washington, Jeannie in Montana. I was in Wisconsin, Julie's in Vermont. And we did this with audio conference or web conferencing every week for the last 4.5 years. So we got to know each other really well by distance. And then we had Fox Valley Tech College did our technical stuff, and Rebecca Ciro oversaw the getting the data for evaluation, for formative evaluation. So we have a series of 5 modules, and we use the IDEA method in these, internalization, and I'm just going to repeat them if I do it right. Internalization, distribution, explanation, thank you, explanation and action, and I'll show you how we did that. We like to, these aren't just the click and go, just click, click, click. So many online education is just click, click, click. This is very much interaction driven, and we like to use what I call discovery learning. So we present them with information and ask them questions that I don't expect them to know the answers to, but we give them hints and information that they should be able to at least make an educated guess. And then they're not penalized for their answers, but we feel it engages them more. And educational research has shown that time on task is directly related to how much people learn. And so the more time that they spend meditating and massaging and manipulating the information, the more they'll learn. So that's our plan here. So instead of, we have them find, match, sort, apply, analyze, synthesize, and evaluate information. So the whole gamut of Bloom's taxonomy, if you know about that. So our first one really goes into the internalization that they were talking about. I like to call it, I would always ask, whatever module we're making, I'd always ask my developers, so what? Why should this person care about what we're teaching them? We have to give them a so what. So we begin our biosecurity, after we let them figure out what biosecurity means, we have little stories, little vignettes with different reasons why biosecurity might be important to these different people. And so each one of these is a picture, and once they listen to the story, then it turns into a bullet point of why it's important, why they might be important. We then move on to the fact that a disease agent meeting with a susceptible host in just the right environment is what creates disease. And you have to have all 3 of those. And that means that every one of those steps is a place that you could put strategies in place to prevent that perfect storm from happening. We then get into the D of the idea model, which is the distribution. And we look at it a little bit differently. We're not just looking at what Deanna and Tim are looking at, but with online modules, we provide a way to reach anybody and everybody. You don't have to be in that classroom hearing that professor talk. It's available to everybody. And we also look at accessibility, different teaching and learning modes, different venues, different populations, and we try to make it available to all. Along with our modules, we're creating a teacher's guide that's giving examples of other ways that teachers or leaders could use it. I think I forgot to tell you, we focus this on 6th to 12th grade students, FFA students, and 4-H clubs and members. Also in the teacher's guide, we've got other resources, and one example is Scrub, and there's going to be somebody talking about Scrub, I think, right? Yes, okay. Which is some hands-on activities that can go along, or standalone, but can go along with these modules. E is for explanation. So after we did the internalization, then we really spent some time on explanation. What is biosecurity? How do diseases get passed along, routes of infection and means of transmission? Now this is an example. We like to use real-world examples as much as possible. Remember, we're talking about 6th and 12th grade students. Did I do that? 6th to 12th grade students. And so I don't expect them to know what these diseases are. But we wanted to at least get them introduced to the terms. We don't expect them to know them coming in. We don't expect them to know them going out. We just want that exposure to them. And so for this activity, they can go over any one of these and it'll pop up a disease story that tells something about how that disease gets passed along. And from the story, they should be able to work out, does it come through livestock? Is it wildlife? Is it from direct contact or indirect contact? Which they've already learned about what those things are. So I've shown you a little bit of an example of what that is. In developing our modules, we kept trying to remind ourselves, because it's very easy to get, we've got 4 veterinarians on the on the education team. So we're thinking up here, and we kept saying, we're not trying to make the veterinarians here. We're just trying to make, our goal is to create knowledgeable students and advocates for biosecure agriculture communities. Kept reminding ourselves of that. So in the third module, we start doing some action. And we're putting the student we've put them in the role of a biosecurity inspector. And they've offered as a project to go to this farm, and these farmers here have agreed to have them come on. They can ask questions. And their task is to create a biosecurity plan at the end. So in this module, they're going to go to these different areas of the farm, and they have to locate and identify sources of potential risk. So they go and they either look at pictures that might tell them, or they listen to the farmer or a ranch hand or somebody talking. That way, they have to learn that they have to listen to what's being said as well as using their eyes, because they get clues that way too. So, oops, I missed that one. So also in the next one, they're going to now figure out strategies to match the risks that they've identified in the module before. So we've taken them through the farm again, and now we're asking them the strategies. We also get into the economics of it, and we've shown, I'm just trying to show you a little bit of some of the different activities that we've had that we put in here. So they have to do the math here and figure out it comes up one at a time, low prevalence, and they do that math, and high prevalence, they do that math, and vaccination. And then you can see the bottom line. Can you afford to vaccinate? Can you afford not to? Let's see. We also wanted to look at the economic realities of biosecurity. And this is the list of the strategies that throughout this module they have created. We've walked them through them creating this list, and now we've put in how effective are they, some more effective than others. This is research-based, and then the prices and relative prices. There's no hard numbers here, it's just sort of a general feeling. And what their task is to decide on what biosecurity measures they're going to put in place, but they have only so much money. And so as they choose the strategies, that it started out way over to the right. As they choose them, it goes down and down and down. And it uncovers, depending on how effective that strategy was, it uncovers more or less of the picture. And the goal is to uncover as much as possible before you run out of money. Well, we also made it that it's impossible to totally uncover, because no farmer can afford to put in all the strategies. And the bottom line that we're trying to get clear to them is that it's not so much that they have all the biosecurity, it's that they have a plan, and that they're moving towards that plan, because you can't do everything. So in LO5, which is in development right now, we're going back to, remember what we said about we're trying to make knowledgeable students and advocates? Well, this is the advocate part. We're trying to have them to go out to their families, to their communities, and abroad, even farther, to pass on the information of biosecurity. So we've got them going through with this girl named Charlie, who's creating a presentation step by step, and they have a worksheet that they'll do each step with her and create, and at the end they'll have their own presentation that they can do. And when we're done with making the presentation, then we talk about verbal and nonverbal communication, how to effectively give a presentation, and then they practice it, and they're supposed to get feedback from people, and so they'll have this at the end. So that one really does the DNA of idea. We did peer reviews. At every step we would be doing formative evaluations, and so we put it together, create it, do a peer review with 3 to 5 experts, and then based on these criteria and their feedback, we did some revisions, and then we would put it out for pilot testing to students and to leaders or faculty, the teachers that are teaching them. And we got results from that. There would be both the quantitative but also some qualitative, and we made edits based on that. And now most of them are ready for publication. As soon as the website is ready to publish them, we'll have them published, and they'll be free to students to take. We're wanting to adapt them now to different audiences, and that's where you all come in. We're looking for collaborators and ideas of what should be our populations that we look to and that we adapt these for. It should be relatively easy to take what we've got and massage it and maybe up the game or get rid of some of the basic stuff for different audiences. And so these are ones that we're considering adapting for adult audiences, education, higher education, and production, and maybe even a Spanish translation for farm workers, or any other ideas that people have. So if you're interested at all and would like to look at a different population or any of these populations, please contact me and we'll see what we can do. And we also need to look at summative impact data. So I think that's it. It has been very fun to work with this group. And it's kind of bittersweet. We're getting to the end, and we've been a great group for 5 years, and I don't want to say goodbye.
Are you up for another 5 years?
Sure.